second. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. We are here talking Real Housewives today. On the agenda, I thought that we would be able to talk about Beverly Hills, but I just checked on Netflix and they only have the trailer posted so far, so I'm going to double check on that. We're also going to talk about Garcelle and Kim Zolciak, her losing her Georgia mansion, and possibly going to Tennessee. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about Beverly Hills possibly pushing back production as well. And some people are even reporting that they could be on pause. So before we get started though, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notification on. It's super important. Have a lot of new stuff coming. I finally got some of my merch that I ordered, so I'll be posting sporadically some different stuff I'm trying out. So make sure you put your notifications on, hit the like button, and let's go ahead and get started. I kind of want to start with Teddi Mellencamp and her podcast. She had Cynthia on the show. There was a blind item going around about Cynthia Bailey possibly switching franchises, moving to Beverly Hills. Even though her and her husband are getting divorced, which was the whole reason she was in LA to begin with, her daughter, Noelle, if you watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta, she ended up moving to LA. So now Cynthia does have, Noella out there. She could possibly join as a friend of, except she doesn't really have any relationships with the women in Beverly Hills. And she was a guest on Teddi and Tamara's podcast, I guess a couple of days ago. The same report that claimed Cynthia was coming back as a friend had reported that Teddi Mellencamp is back in the mix. I actually read you guys this blind item. The podcast was Tamara, Teddi, and Cynthia. And the first thing they opened with, of course, was this blind item because in my opinion, I feel like Tamara and Teddi really like it when they make the headlines, when people are talking about their podcast. They've been kind of attacked before for, taking first place in the podcast world, even though they were going off of some other list. I'm not really sure how they rank the podcast, but they were trying to say they were number one in Real Housewives Apple podcast. Some kind of genre that didn't probably even really exist. But anyways, they said they denied the rumors, which is logical. I don't think they would announce it on Teddi's podcast. Why would Bravo announce anything really through their podcast? They didn't even announce Tamara coming back to the Real Housewives. They did it on Watch What Happens Live, so that doesn't make a lot of sense in a way. Cynthia talked about her husband, Mike Hill, soon to be ex-husband. I think I have a lot of Real Housewives of Atlanta followers. If you are, let me know in the chat. Do you guys remember? Cynthia moved from New York City to Atlanta because of Peter Thomas. And Peter Thomas was her husband. They actually got married on the show. It was sort of infamous because her mother and sister did not want them to get married, and they hid the marriage certificate in anticipation that they may or may not want to give it to Cynthia on the day of her wedding or act like it's just lost so they can't get married. It was classic Real Housewives, especially Real Housewives of Atlanta. So she moved from New York City, a bustling, busy fashion industry town to Atlanta, and she moved there to be there with Peter Thomas, and we saw their whole relationship. Somebody said they heard Mike was cheating. Tell me what you guys heard in the chat. I heard that too, but I just kind of figured it was an insinuation. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Anyway, she was married to Peter for 6 years. There was allegations of cheating there as well. He spent a lot of her money. They were on a budget for the wedding. I felt like she was always kind of embarrassed that she had to say she was on a budget. And Peter, I think, opened up a restaurant there in Atlanta that failed. And then he ended up opening one somewhere else, and he was flying and he wasn't home a lot. And there was a video. Hey guys, keep in mind. And hey, Marsha. I'm so glad you could come on and moderate today. I'm actually going to double check my settings because I know we were trying to make you a wrench and we were having issues. So I'm going to double check those now that I see that you're on there. Thank you so much. All right. Sorry. Let me get back to Cynthia and Peter, married for 6 years. They're living in Atlanta. Videos start popping up of Peter and his servers, and they're like, kissy kissy, huggy huggy, and he's like he's kind of like motorboating this server, this young server, and it hit the internet. And of course, social media was big back then, but definitely not as accessible as it is now. And it was not good. I mean, people still saw the video. It definitely made its way around, and Peter wasn't home at the time. So when he does come home, he just tried to act like nothing had happened. Like he was just going to walk in and Cynthia just didn't even see it, or no one told her. I mean, he literally was going to act like he had no idea what, had transpired and what was all over the internet. But something interesting, we're seeing Peter now on the Real Housewives of Potomac because he's opened up a bar one in Baltimore. We're also hearing rumors that he's sleeping allegedly with Miss Giselle Bryant. This is allegedly how he ended up on the Real Housewives of Potomac, even though somehow Wendy has woven him into her storyline, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Peter Thomas doesn't seem to be the likes of like what Eddie and Wendy would typically hang out with. Like, Peter is very educated in the hospitality industry and in restaurants and how things run, but he doesn't have a history of being good with finances. He's not maybe he's a couple of million, he might be a millionaire. I don't know what his financial status is, but previously what we've seen in the past, that hasn't really been the case with Peter. He's always been working hard, and it does seem like he's a really hard worker, but I don't think it seems like he's like balling enough that I would give him $300,000. I don't know about Wendy. It just seems a little bit crazy. You have this, she came out with a book. She did a whole autobiography book, and her mother was on the cover, I think. I don't think we even heard about it being released. Not like we heard about Garcelle's book. And that's what makes me wonder about Wendy. Like, is she so controlling she doesn't trust other people to do anything for her? Because I don't feel like I see a lot of press as it pertains to Wendy. And then, of course, she has her career where she is selling candles. Her and Karen Huger are in competition for the candle making industry. Okay, they're making candles and Robin's selling hats. It's wild to me, but whatever. I mean, Robin said she made a lot of money selling those hats. She actually said that it helped like pay for the house, I think. Actually, I'm sorry. Remember when they had like $90,000 in debt they owed, I think, in back taxes, and they had to pay that. And I think she said a lot of the money that she used to pay for the back tax from the hat business, and she did not expect that. So that's a fun fact. Anyways, it does seem strange that Wendy would all of a sudden be bringing Peter Thomas in to her storyline. And I think it's also strange, if you remember when Eddie and Wendy were filming together, Wendy started to talk about Peter, and Peter was like, "Oh no, that's your friend." Your friend Peter Thomas. And I thought that was really strange because it seemed like he didn't really want his name in with Peter Thomas. That was my feeling. So anyways, poor Cynthia, she goes through all of this. She's friends with Nene. They get into a huge fight, I think in like season 6 or 7. Nene calls Doesn't Nene call him a bitch? I think she does. Anyways, they divorce, and Cynthia is left at Lake Bailey by herself, and she ends up meeting Mike Hill on a talk show, right? It was like they were setting her up. I think they had like 3 guys that she could choose from, and she chose Mike Hill. And that's how they met, and they started dating, and yeah, now they're married. We're married in 2020. What was it? 10/20 of 2020. And now they are filing for divorce. Now, Cynthia said on the podcast recently that she just took her ring off. It was a little bit emotional for her. She said she's been wearing it this whole time, and then she hurry up and backtracked, and she's like, well, I've just been wearing it till we filed. So she didn't want us to know how long things had really went downhill, because they've only been married since 10/20 of 2020. So what is that, guys? 2 years? It would have been 2 years in October. And she didn't really explain what transpired. She just said that she really wanted to be married to her best friend. And since they both had been married previously, she didn't want to waste any time. And so they agreed to get a divorce. And she said it was mutual and that they're still very close friends. Having a business helps with expenses and taxes, so I think that's why the ladies are always opening a new business. Wasn't Robin in trouble with taxes? Yes, you are correct. It definitely does help with taxes. I agree with you. Marcia, Cynthia and Mike were having fun with the long distance relationship. Once they moved in together, I believe they realized they really didn't know much about each other. Yeah, and COVID hit in 2020. So true. She's overwhelming and boring. COVID was hard on people who had been married for years and years. COVID was hard on people that had been married for 20 years and then said, I don't even know my spouse because we've been working and taking care of our kids for so long that now that we're together at home, this is like a stranger. So I don't know. You think they would have figured that out though before they got married, but maybe Cynthia was just, she wanted to kind of go out with a bang her last season, have her wedding on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. It was a beautiful wedding. She looked amazing. And we had heard cheating rumors about, Mike before that. And he had written an autobiography that she Cynthia, she did not read that man's autobiography before she started dating him. And then once she dated him, she still hadn't read it. She didn't read it till she flew to LA, and it was like a party for her to kind of meet Mike's circle of people. And she said they started talking about Mike and his history with girls, and she was shocked. She had no idea. None at all. Even though he had put it in his autobiography, she didn't take the time to read it. Oh, Cynthia. But here's the funny part, right? So Cynthia and Teddi were on Big Brother together. This is what's getting me suspicious about Teddi. During the podcast between Cynthia and Tamra, they probably called Teddi a pot stir, a shit stir, 8 different times, probably between the 3 of them. And they just kept saying, oh, you know how Teddi is. She's just a shit starter. That's why she brought it up. And then Teddi would be like, yeah, remember when we were on Big Brother, Cynthia, and Blase Skip. And I'm thinking, didn't Teddi get eliminated? Was it the first competition Teddi was eliminated, or the second competition? I can't remember. It was one of the 2. Teddi's so annoying. She's really going to be on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I can't stomach it. Kyle's shadow is as mean as Kyle. Yes, and she's trying to be relevant, right? Because it worked for Tamra. I think the podcast definitely did help get Tamra back in the mix. But I think that she also promised them drama, and she's brought drama to the OC for years and years. I'm going to have to go back and watch Big Brother. Groovy says, well, if you want to watch Teddi, you're only going to have to watch one episode, because I'm pretty sure she goes out the first elimination round they have, or the second one. I don't know. Just crazy. Anyways, so they kept saying that, which does make me very, very suspicious. Number one, it makes me suspicious that she's going to be coming back to Beverly Hills full time, because she always shades friend roles. And I told you, when the ladies were in the desert for Kyle's store opening, Teddi was there. She had the women on her podcast, I think. That was a while ago. But she was there, like, doing correspondence work for Entertainment Tonight. And there was like a little bit of her in the background, but that was it because she refused to film as a friend. Even if she got paid, she just refused. She thinks it's insulting to be a friend of, and she definitely wasn't going to work for free. So she had opportunities to come on and still be a friend of, and she just refused. And that's what she said about Cynthia. She was like, that's crazy, Cynthia, that they said I'm coming back full time and that you're coming back as a friend. Who wants to be a friend of? Like, nobody wants to be a friend of, Bravo, just so you know. That's what she was like kind of saying. And we saw a picture of Kyle, and she was out to dinner with two producers, well, ex-producers on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and the OC. One of them I think they both had been there for years and years and years. Neither one of them still currently there. But people were still commenting, finding it really interesting that Kyle had a more than a professional relationship with producers, such high up producers, that she would be like having dinner and hanging out. Wait, did Teddi confirm? No, Teddi's denying it. Well, yeah, she's kind of denying it. But again, I didn't get to this part, but this is some tea we're hearing, is that they're pushing back production for Beverly Hills. Last year, Kathy was late coming into the game, right? Because they were like negotiating contract. I don't know how long the negotiation process looks like with Housewives, and it seems like every single franchise is different. Like, you know, Lisa had this 5-year contract, and then in New Jersey the women don't have a contract at all. They're getting paid on how many seasons they film in and actually get aired. So it's a lot different, like per production company, I guess. But this seems to be like reoccurring with Beverly Hills, and now they're supposedly pushing production back till January, which is pretty late, guys, because they've been filming through the for the last couple of years. They've been doing at least since the whole Denise scandal, for sure. And I think LVP scandal was also filmed during the holidays. We always see Kyle's house decorated. We always see her Christmas tree up. It's been that way for several years now. So they didn't push back production for Kathy to start. They just brought her in the middle of the season. But maybe because they have these issues, Lisa Rinna, you know, they don't have her as like ready to go. And if they have to renegotiate with her, I don't know what's going to happen, because there's a clause about Harry Hamlin, allegedly, but I've given you guys proof and quoted Harry from years ago whenever he confirmed it. He said it without saying it. So I'm sure that is not easy to negotiate, and it's been 5 years, so I'm sure she wants a hefty pay raise. Who knows what Lisa Rinna. Or hypothetically, if they kick her to the curb, they're going to have to replace her. They're going to have to replace, you know, they're not going to have Kathy, and they're not going to have Rinna, so they got to bring somebody in to do something. And interesting too, guys, this was another thing I wanted to bring up. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, then I'm sure you're seeing Diana tweet that her investigation I read you guys an article yesterday. I think it was from Radar Online, that her investigation was bringing out an IP address that was either overseas from California or Tennessee. And it really made it sound like they were getting somewhere, and that they possibly, you know, had found where these bots were coming from. Diana never really speaking on it herself. She shared a screenshot of the cover of the article, but that was really it. Well, I'm not sure who caught Garcelle. She was somewhere looking fabulous, had her hair like right here, that real straight, sleek kind of look. She looked amazing. And she basically said, I'm performing my own investigation, and, you know, when I find something, I'll let you know. And I find that interesting, guys, because I said yesterday, if Diana is running the investigation, she's running the narrative. And if she has any links or ties to the bots, she's not going to tell on herself. So she's kind of controlling the narrative, and the article definitely swung towards Diana and it called her like a humanitarian and a Bosnian refugee, and it just really tooted her own horn, if you will. Is that even a thing? I don't know. Whatever. It just really was in favor of Diana. So I think Garcelle caught on to that, and she was like, you know what? Somebody probably, I mean, people think of that stuff, right? Like, she should have been doing her own investigation this whole time, and maybe she wasn't. She just didn't want to say so. But she did the interview, and then she went on Twitter, and she basically tweeted the same exact thing. And she said, there's no news, there's no updates on the bots case. When I have something, I promise, I'll let you know. And I just think that's really interesting, and I'm happy that she's investigating it herself, and hopefully she's able to figure out, what happened, and I hope she gets like a hefty pay raise for next season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I can't help it. Sorry guys, my low battery mode already. What else did I want to touch on today? Oh yes, I remember now. Kim Zolciak. Oh, let me read some comments. Diana needs to take a mental break. When Teddi was on, I used to skip to the next housewife. Absolutely. Let's just take a couple minutes to talk, guys, about Beverly Hills, Teddi Mellencamp, her podcast coming back. Just anything about Real Housewives, how you guys are feeling. Kathy made this ultimatum. She's not coming back if Erica or Lisa are there. Is Kathy Hilton enough to weigh out not having Lisa Rinna and Erica? Do you guys think that, I don't know, do you guys think that Kyle is a secret producer? Like, do you think it's appropriate that she hangs out with producers and has dinners with them? Do you guys remember when there was like a guy outside getting autographs? It was like a photo of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and it was all of the ladies, and he was standing outside of Craig's or somewhere, and he was signing, he was trying to get all of the ladies' signatures, right? And somehow Kyle was there, and she went out and allegedly like signed her name and then scribbled out Lisa Vanderpump's face. And then Lisa Vanderpump came out shortly after, and she got the guy like a new copy and signed it or something along those lines. Do you guys remember that? I think they were at a sushi restaurant, and it was around the whole time of Puppygate. But there was somebody outside collecting. They wanted a picture of the whole cast and all of their signatures. Kyle thinks she's a brown noser. Oh, she definitely does think she's a brown noser. Okay, also, their show, The Buying Beverly Hills. So the thing that is really, I think, hurting them right now is the fact that Netflix, I think, was very frustrated with all the bad press that Mauricio and Kyle were getting over the Garcelle situation. They had anticipated that Real Housewives of Beverly Hills fans would fall over to Netflix and pick up this series, of course, expecting to see Kyle's husband, her daughters, their business, even probably Kyle, guys. Honestly, Kyle was probably in this, and maybe they just cut her out for the time being. We know it's bad because Mauricio never, ever, ever makes a statement. I don't remember him ever. Even all the accusations, the transgender accusations, all that, he's never, ever made a statement. It didn't have any of the husbands on the show at all, which was very red flag to me. And Mauricio answered one of the bloggers on Instagram. I can't remember the exact account. I want to say it was like Queens of Bravo and Cocktail. And they just simply asked him like an explanation for why he would laugh about Erica saying like F you to Garcelle's son. And he actually responded with a pretty lengthy response. And it was saying the same exact thing that Kyle had said. Producers wanted them to talk about it. He hadn't seen the actual footage yet. Had he have seen that, he never would have supported it. Blase, blase. So I don't know if Buying Beverly Hills is going to do that good, especially considering they're coming in really late in the game because Selling Sunset's been out here for like 5 years. Collective, the whole part right there. they're late in the game. They're very late. Like, why would you be coming out with, you might as well call it Selling Beverly Hills. I mean, they have Selling Sunset. Don't they have like a Selling Miami? They have a bunch of them. But I want to see when the date is for them to be releasing it, because I tried to watch it today on Netflix and it wouldn't come in. Oh, look at that. E! Online is running the same article talking about how they're upset with the dad. Mauricio Umansky and his daughter bicker over a big sale and buying Beverly 22. Why haven't we gotten the entire episode though? Oh, it's dropping November 4th. That's why. Are you guys going to be watching it? Please comment and let me know if you're going to be watching Buying Beverly Hills. Let me know which daughter you're interested in following. It looks like her oldest daughter, Farrah, is going to be on the show. And then there's a younger daughter. And I told you guys, I know I shouldn't say this, but there was like this photo of all the cousins from one of the girls' baby showers. I think it was Brooke, Kim's daughter. And it was like all the cousins, like Paris, Nikki. And you could tell like which kids were Kyle's, because Paris and Nikki were like very polished and very put together, and so where it looked like Brooke's sisters, and then there's like Kyle's daughters, and you know, they have like half a shirt on and pierced, and you know, just not looking like how Paris and Nikki look. Dorit is another sheep that doesn't stick up for Garcelle. I agree. I can't even think that they're gonna bring her back. I'm like disappointed that Bravo doesn't put more pressure on her to earn her keep, if you will, because we just really didn't get much from her. I think traditionally the last couple of years, Dorit and PK have kind of been a package because people were enduring to PK. Like, he was arguing with some big bloggers on YouTube and Instagram, and he would comment back. And when we would see him on this show, you know, him and Mauricio had like 2 funny scenes. They said 2 funny things out of everything they film. And they were funny, but that doesn't mean that we're always going to get that. And it's always going to land right. Because if you guys remember, the last time Mauricio and PK were together, they were talking about which housewife they would sleep with if you took their wives out of the mix. And that didn't land well with everyone. And then PK almost got that DUI, and that was in the middle of filming. So I think Bravo's just, I don't know what they're going to do. They really need to do something, though, because she isn't doing much. I think she's going to try to side with Erica for attention, like choosing the wrong side. She might fight with Kyle, but I think if Teddi comes on, then it's going to be like Dorito and Teddi fighting over Kyle, 1,000%. Teddi will definitely be her mouthpiece. We will know 1,000% that she has a lot of pull if Teddi's back on the show. Dorit gave me hair braids and I asked for a receipt. One time there was a doxy about these 2 girls that were in like Chanel or Gucci. I can't remember which, and she was in front of them. And she was buying like a handbag and something else, and they said she had to pull out like 3 different credit cards to split up the payment to make the purchase. And so they took like a really quick photo of her because obviously they were behind her, but it was definitely her. So a little crazy. Are you guys going to be watching New Jersey? I think we might actually end up getting New Jersey earlier than we typically do, only because they do have the 3-part wedding series, and I think that they want to get that out there while it's still relevant. Kathy's satisfaction is getting Renna fired for Kim. Her job is over to make it right for Kim. I think that's a great point, actually. I think Kathy Hilton was the only one that could do it because she was the only one that had enough power to take Lisa Renna on and know for sure that, like, Kathy's kind of untouchable, guys. Gives nothing at all. Hence why Erica, PK, and Dorito conjured this story about Dorit and PK. Catherine says, I do like Kathy on the show. I like Kathy too because I think we're all just a little bit interested in her because she is so wealthy and she's been part of this social circle in LA and Hollywood for years and years. And so that's why we want to see her. I can't wait for Jersey, Groovy says. Kathy runs in a circle of the Jacksons, and she's, she's kind of like old Hollywood, like old school Hollywood, and so she's interesting to us. And I think Kyle used to be more interesting when the kids were a little bit littler and she was a little bit younger, and you had Kim and Kyle, you had that whole dynamic. But now that that's not there, I don't know what Kyle's going to do. They're going to want her to choose them over the show because, like I said, now there's two of them saying. Now both of your sisters are saying, F that show. Look at, how they tried to do both of us. Kathy had to send cease and desist and attorneys, and thank goodness she has like an endless supply of money because somebody else wouldn't have been able to do that. Just saying. That's how they're going to be looking at Kyle. Like, why are you still on this show? Why haven't you quit yet? You're worth allegedly $50 million. Why are you working full time for a reality show? If you're in your late 50s and you have a net worth of $50 million and an entire agency of real estate all over the United States and in Mexico, guys, and in Turks and Caicos. They were in charge of the house that the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. That was Mauricio's, the agencies. Bring Kim back if she would accept. I love Kim. I would like to see her part-time too. I think a lot of us would. We would like to see her. Maybe they'll do something like that. If not, Bravo's crazy. I told you guys, Andy addressed the whole 3-part series and they couldn't film everything, and it was just kind of bullshit because here's the thing. Why did we have to hear about the cat sweater? Why did we have to hear about Sutton going on a date wearing a cat sweater? I would have much rather heard about receipts, Sutton's receipts, Rena's receipts. I mean, I would have liked to heard more about anything than that. So they should have done a 2-hour special. I said that like yesterday or the day before. They should have done a behind the scenes, something. They missed out on money. And it's like, I don't understand. Unless if they're just trying to keep the conflict down so that they have a cast for next season, the same people. That would be the only explanation, because it seems like they filmed till tonight. So we normally have a 3-part series. It doesn't matter what franchise it is. Typically, we have a 3-part series no matter how much drama. That's what Bravo does these days. They get a whole 3 weeks out of reunion alone. But they didn't do anything special for Beverly Hills, even though they filmed super duper longer than they used to, and they should have done something with just Kyle and Kathy by themselves. And DJ Richie Scott, he is so funny. He posted on my Instagram today because I typically will go through my photo album. It's like cleaning out my closet, and I have different screenshots and things that sometimes I forget to post. Just put them all together and post them. And he commented and made like a great point. He was like, I'm ready for them to be following these women around with cameras because we don't want to let that momentum die, right? Like the momentum's high right now. Maybe like a month ago, there was a lot on social media, especially between Kathy and Rena. Kathy randomly will like comments that talk poorly of Kyle, and I just think there was a lot more tension after the reunion had filmed and we didn't get to see it. So that's why we would really love to see Beverly Hills pick up with the same momentum from last year and see what they can, shake up. What else? Oh, Kim Zolciak, guys. Post if you are interested in hearing about Kim Zolciak. She defaulted on that Georgia mansion. You guys, I think it was like a $3 million mansion. They had taken out a loan on it, something. They must have used the house as collateral or something along those lines for like $300,000, and they defaulted on that, and that's essentially why they lost the whole house. And they've already auctioned it off. The bank's already gotten rid of it. I don't know why the bank would turn around and sell an auction for $250K in Atlanta. Why wouldn't you advertise that? You have, big time people that be down there buying that, right? Unless if it's like tore up inside. unless if it was just left in ruins. But even then, if it's even if it's valued at 2.5 and you get it for $250,000, that's wild. Somebody posted this on Instagram, and those women of Married to Medicine are messy, and they live in Atlanta. And Miss Contessa, she's a doctor, one of the ladies on the show to Married to Medicine. She commented below like the headline of like Kim Zolciak's $2.5 million mansion sells in auction for $250K, and she commented and said something like why did she know about this auction? And then Dr. Heavenly commented after her and said something along those lines as well. It was seriously so funny. I took a screenshot of it, and I'll have to post it to the community group. I was like, damn, those women are coming for her. But here's what we're hearing, guys. We're hearing somehow they've formed a relationship with Jason Aldean and his wife, and they're going to go to Tennessee. And Kim is pitching Bravo, Andy, NBC, her publicist, whoever. She's basically pitching like, let's open up. Let's do a franchise in Tennessee, in Nashville. This is where you guys have been wanting to do a housewife. Like, I'm an OG. I practically helped start the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let's do a full franchise in Nashville. Why not, Andy? Andy will give her the job. Watch. Marsha, I think so too, Marsha. But here is what I like to point out. When we have really wealthy housewives that have, like, I think from Behind the Velvet Rope, David from Behind the Velvet Rope calls it FU money. If you have FU money, you don't have to film. You're like Kathy. You don't have to film. And if something you don't like is going to air, you can send a cease and desist. You have attorneys all day long to sue, to file motions, to do whatever you want because you have FU money, right? And just like Teresa and Joe Giudice, like, they gave us the scoop because they needed the money. That's why they were on the cover of People magazine. That's why they were on cover of US magazine. That's where, they had so many series, and we saw everything. We saw Teresa leave for prison. We saw her come home from prison. We saw Joe Giudice while she was in prison. We saw the good, the bad, and the ugly, and viewers loved it, and they've bonded with her, and it's made her an OG. However, do you think if she had money that she would have been letting Bravo cameras film her family during the hardest time of probably her entire life? Probably not, right? Kathy has FU money. We're not even going to see her again. She came in, popped in for 2 seasons, stirred up some stuff, and we're never going to hear from her again. She doesn't need the money. Why would she come back? If she doesn't like the way she looks, which inevitably you can't just stay on the Housewives and have a great image, and not ever be talked about or have anything bad said about you or pointed out or constructive criticism, whatever the case may be. And that's why I'm a little disappointed too, because I think a good publicist would have looked at Kathy and said, if you go on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for 1 year and everyone loves you, they love Kathy, you're going to be a target. That's going to make you a target with these women because they're not going to like that. They're not going to like all the I love yous, Kathy. And she didn't think about that. So let's also remember Kim Zolciak. I saw this clip of her on Instagram today. It was so funny. She was in a Porsche, white Porsche with the top down. And she had a glass of wine in one hand, a cigarette in the other, and Sheree was in the passenger seat. And she was singing this song that she allegedly knows a filmmaker, a music writer, and he had written the song for Cher. And since Kim thinks that she sounds like Cher, the song was perfect for her, and she was singing in the car, and Sheree acted like it was the best thing she had ever heard in her whole life. But Kim Zolciak definitely helped build Real Housewives of Atlanta, and she fought with Lindsay Lohan's dad, and then she had Big Papa. She went to the dealership and wrote out a check for $60,000. She called him right from the dealership for this Escalade. This was stuff we hadn't seen a lot of, and so I think that that's why they would bring her into Nashville and say, okay, let's film you. You're broke, so you need the money, so you're going to show us everything we want to see because, we're going to hold your paycheck over your head, and viewers want to see it. And if viewers want to see it and we say that we want to see it, then you have to give it to us if you want the money. We are hearing a lot about Kim Zolciak and her gambling habits. $1,200 on scratch-off tickets. She was camping. $1,200 on scratch-off tickets when she went camping. We heard $250,000 at a casino in the Caribbean while she was on vacation. Even Andy Cohen pointed out Kim's bad spending habits. What about Croy, though? Shouldn't he have a retirement from the NFL? This is what doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because the loan they actually defaulted on was only like, well, not only, but for $200,000 to $300,000, and it wouldn't have taken a lot to get it in good standing. It wouldn't make sense that he would have money somewhere else and not take it and get right with that loan instead of losing a $2.5 million mansion. Croy is Kim's hairstylist. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, so that's the word. The word is, and also because Kim is such great friends with Jason Aldean's wife, this is going to be a perfect setup because of course Kim is willing to exploit her friendship with Jason Aldean's wife to get Bravo cameras to do a show down there, right? You know, she's dropping every name that she can, that she could affiliate with, that she could film with, that she knows, that she met at the coffee shop one day. Like, Kim is selling her ass off right now. She is. She needs the money bad because she has bad spending habits. Kim should have never been on Atlanta show again. She was difficult to film and was disrespectful. I also feel, sorry, my damn battery. Hi, Sweets. I think the gambling hurt them a lot, and she spent Croy's money too. The man in our way over their head. Brittany would never go on Housewives. That's what Addison said. Okay, Brittany, you don't think she would go on Housewives at all if Kim said, hey, will you film a scene with me? Please. Bravo execs would really like to see a scene with you, and you and Jason can talk about how you're letting us rent from you and you're helping us. I don't know. Maybe she'll trick her. Who knows? Kim is desperate right now. She just got kicked out of her house. She's going to do whatever she can. She's got, and you know what she's saying? I got to take care of my kids and my husband. Addison's no. She's too classy, she said. Maybe she won't. But that doesn't mean Bravo knows that. Kim is still selling it. Trust me. Once she signs the deal, then she's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. Jason said that I'm not allowed to, film. Brittany doesn't want to film, so I can't film with Brittany. I'm sorry. I know I told you guys that we could film Brittany Aldean, but there were some changes. I just forgot to tell you." Like I said, she's broke, so she's doing whatever she can. And you know what else? The same publicist that was up for discussion regarding the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and the hair extension party and being Erica's publicist as well as Nikki Hilton's publicist, he is affiliated with Kim Zolciak as well when she had her singing career and she was performing, way back in the old days. Oh my gosh, I love Nashville. She says there's, what is it, a half a mile off Broadway, and it's cheap. I mean, I hear great things about Nashville, and I think that's why they want to do something there, because it's like the up-and-coming city. People love it. People are honeymooning there. People are having their bachelorette parties there. There's like all the little honky-tonk bars. It is beautiful. It's in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Yes, guys, please hit that like button. Thank you, Marsha, we appreciate you today. Hey, Elizabeth. I wanted to try to go into one of my settings. And then also, did you guys know that Beverly Hills had record-setting ratings over this whole reunion? Another reason they should have done a 3-part series. I can't believe they didn't. I still want them to come out with something like an after show. This is what else I wanted to tell you guys. Dana suing the whole bots situation was kind of wild because we don't really know who the bots are. So she was suing like a Jane Doe, right? Now she is suing. Do you guys know the website that actually started all the blind items? He is Point On. He is Crazy Hollywood Days and Nights. He's been doing this for like 10 or 12 years. He's never disclosed his identity. It started out with like 3 friends, and they've, filled in for each other over the years, but he mainly uses it as an outlet. She's suing that website because 5 years prior, and I don't know if I posted it, I have it screenshotted, but he did a blind item talking about, allegedly, Diana Jenkins and her, I don't want to say the word, but like her moving things and people different places, and her, I wonder if I can for you guys and read it exactly, because it's that good. It was pretty deep. But regardless, Diana is suing him for it. Now, this is going to be interesting, guys, because we don't know his identity. And I think that's maybe why she's doing it, because she sues everyone or anyone that her. She sued an ex-employee of 3 years. She sued somebody else, I think, that she worked with. Like, that's her thing. She just starts suing people. I mean, she is another example of a housewife that has FU money. I can do whatever she wants, whenever she wants. Sell her for 1 season. We won't see her again because she didn't like the way she probably came off on the show. Right? But I'm going to be so sad if they have to, put his identity out there, because part of the mystique is that nobody knows who it is. And he is credible a lot of the time. So if you put a name to that, then everyone tears that to shreds, and it's like, how would they know? It would take away from the mystique and some of the fun of it. For me, I think. So I hope that he's able to keep his identity a secret. And I don't know, do you guys want me to read what he wrote about her? I'm sure you guys have all read it in bits and pieces for sure. Why would anyone sue a lawyer? The woman is relentless on suing spree. Well, I think she's suing him because of the article that he wrote, and he put her name in it and affiliated her with moving people in places in different countries, and not people that willingly wanted to be moved, just people she was moving, and her relationships with people like Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton. She was Paris Hilton when Paris was like 19. I posted a picture. Like, she was around a lot of young girls in the industry, if you will. Just saying, she was. There's pictures of her with Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton. Terry says she thinks he's credible most of the time. I do too. What else? I think, the envelopes. The Aspen envelopes. I kind of talked about this in my live yesterday, guys. I'm sure you guys are all up to speed, but originally Andy Cohen had come out on his podcast and said that he had seen the receipts that Lisa Rinna had brought to the reunion, and they were cut out. This is what opened up the whole conversation with the length of the reunion. He claims they were cut out, they were boring, they were over the Elton John allegations. We saw the envelope, and the envelope clearly said Aspen on it. That didn't make a lot. I'm like, why would the envelope say Aspen? But he's claiming that the receipts are actually Elton John. So Andy starts getting attacked because everyone else thought the same exact thing. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Lisa Rinna comes out. She envelopes. One of them was 8 pages long of conversation of me texting my best friend in the middle of the night because she was asleep, giving a play-by-play and trying to figure out what the F to do. Okay, that's crazy. I would want to see that. When you guys want to see a conversation of Lisa Rinna at 2 o'clock in the morning saying what's going on in that house? Anyways, Andy comes back out on his podcast somewhere. He speaks on it again and says that he texted Rinna and said, Rinna, were there Aspen receipts? ? And she's like, oh, yeah, but they, weren't really that important. And it was just conversation between, me and my best friend over what happened. And so basically Andy Cohen's defense now is that he didn't even know she had those receipts. She came out and told us she brought 2 envelopes, 8 pages of receipts. She didn't know why they wouldn't show it. Andy Cohen comes out the next day, says he texted her, and basically corroborates that he never even got to see those. So that's what she said. Anyway, guys, make sure you hit that like button, comment, and let me know what you think. I was going to do Salt Lake City, but I feel like you guys don't like Salt Lake City. Nobody likes it. Look at my new merch. I'm so excited. They're slowly start coming in. I was putting my emblem on different stuff just to see how it's going to look. I love this one too. So cute, right? So now I have this, and I'll be able to change it to whatever franchise. Like, I'll be able to do the logo and put like Real Housewives of Orange County, Beverly Hills, etc. Because I'm going to do really cute t-shirts with like different, well, just a bunch of different stuff. So that's why you guys going to make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on, and be watching Buying Beverly Hills so you don't have to. Okay, guys? Thank you, Groovy. I appreciate that. I told you guys I'm going to start streaming. I have people I'm lining up in a couple of weeks so that you guys, just some people that you might be interested in seeing or hearing a little bit from. My girl, Jenny from Bravo and Blaze. I love her. She's so sweet. She's really into... She's very smart. Like, she's a super smart woman, and I'm impressed with her because she's very corporate, and she's great business ideas too. But she's into Bravo, and she was at BravoCon, and she's got some tea for you guys too. So I'm excited for you guys to meet her, and just a couple different people that I think you guys will like. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe. All right. I hope you guys have a great day. Happy Thursday. One more day, and it's Friday. Don't forget to comment and let me know if you're watching Salt Lake City. Bye, guys.